Hello, I'm Dale Helgevold, and this is my final project for business communications class. It's about the Costa Concordia accident. Just imagine boarding a cruise ship on a relaxing vacation you've been excited about for many months. You made it through your last day of work, and before leaving on your vacation, where you don't have a care in the world other than what you're going to eat and what you're going to drink. And once you get settled into your room, you start meeting other passengers aboard the voyage. You actually begin to realize that it's time to relax and have a good time. At about 7:20 p.m. local time, you set sail from a port in Italy, and not even 2 hours into the vacation, the unexpected happens. You strike something with the ship. It's actually a huge rock, and the collision can be heard and felt by everyone that's on board the ship. The ship begins to take water, and there's a total blackout. The reason this happens is because the water has compromised the engine and generator compartments located in the belly of the cruise liner. And because of this, the engines and compressors are knocked offline and create havoc and mayhem amongst the individuals who are on board the ship. The emergency generator power switched on just as it's expected to do, but it was not able to supply the utilities to handle the emergency, which worked in a discontinuous way. The captain of the ship makes no effort at that point to even contact the nearby harbor to inform them of the incident. However, harbor officials were contacted by concerned passengers on board. And just over an hour after the ship strikes the rock, the passengers aboard are ordered to evacuate the ship. When the Costa Concordia set sail on Friday the 13th in January of 2012, it had 4,229 people on board. And of those, 3,206 were passengers. The other 1,023 were crew members assigned in one capacity or another to the cruise ship. And the man in charge of the ship was Captain Francisco Schettino. Had the ship continued on its predetermined route, everything would have been just fine. But instead, Captain Schettino ordered the ship that he wanted to steer it towards the island of Giglio as a salute, and it kind of backfired to him. By cruising through that area, which was too close to the shoreline, it was in the dark of the night, and at a high rate of speed, it caused a very unsafe situation that eventually cost Carnival Cruise Lines millions upon millions of dollars, cost the ship's captain his job, not to mention 32 unsuspecting people their lives, and the families of the victims and everyone involved a lot of sorrow. One of the most difficult things for people to understand and stomach is the fact that the captain and crew abandoned the ship before all the passengers were evacuated. Not only did they not wait until everyone else was evacuated, they did not immediately inform the passengers or authorities of the severity of the incident. In the days following the wreck, beside from locating all the passengers, another task that was going to be at hand was to reclaim all the fuel and oil from the ship's equipment. Since it had just set sail, most of the 500,000 gallons of diesel fuel was still on board and threatening the coastline. Reclaiming of the fuel and oil was from such a massive ship started on the 12th of February in 2012. There was a total of 2,400 metric tons of fuel on board that had to be pumped out of 15 different tanks, and it was supposed to be completed in 28 days if the workers worked around the clock. The task of righting the ship has now been completed, and so for the next step, the totaled vessel is to dry dock in Sicily and be disassembled for salvage. The price tag for righting the ship alone was around $400 million. And this had to be done instead of disassembling or blowing up the ship because of the protected coral reef that the ship was resting within. Special precautions had to be made while drilling holes for the legs of the platform to go into, as to not create debris that would disturb the natural beauty of the undersea world that lay below large vessel. And since the newspapers, televisions, internet have been filled with all sorts of stories and images of the Costa Concordia debacle and other cruise line problems, the popularity of cruise has lost its glitz. Bookings with some cruise companies has decreased by about 20% right after this happened, and some European cruise companies are reporting price declines of around 12%. The popularity and glamour of cruises has, without a doubt, declined because of the issues. As compensation to some of the uninjured passengers, Carnival Corporation offered them 11,000 euro, which is roughly 15,000 US dollars, to compensate for damages, costs, and losses. The trade union that was representing the crew has negotiated compensation packages for the crew members that were aboard the ship. The crew members, they'll be paid their wages for a minimum of 2 months, or if longer, their full contract term. They will also receive reimbursement for expenses and up to 3,600 US dollars for personal loss. There are only about 800 people that live on the island of Giglio. Since that is the case, it wasn't a huge impact on the people living on the island, other than having to look at the mammoth hunk of steel that is now docked near their homeland. In July of 2013, 5 people were convicted of manslaughter for being part of the crew of the Costa Concordia. However, the captain Schettino was tried separately, and his trial has not been completed to this date, and he's on separate counts of manslaughter and abandoning his ship while thousands of passengers were still on board the vessel. This was undoubtedly a disaster that could have been avoided had the captain and crew followed correct protocol and stayed within their means. For the captain to order diversion with the prescribed course for nothing more than personal enjoyment was truly uncalled for. This case is not thinking literally, put thousands of people in danger, and also took the life of 32 of those people, as well as costing the company in which he works for millions of dollars in unnecessary expenses. And according to the Italian Defense Minister Gianpaolo De Piolo, gross human error was to blame for the incident. Thank you.